The Emperor has foreseen a new threat rising against him. The Podwans Podcast.
Welcome back and happy holidays, everyone. I am not Chase. I am Luke. I am the original. I am the alpha.
Who is this person? Get out of my podcast.
I am the original. Welcome to the Podwans Podcast. I am Luke, joined by my co-host Hereth, and as always, Nick. How is it going, gentlemen? How are your guys' holidays?
It's been good so far. It's not buried in snow. Can't complain about that.
That is true. For Vancouver, I swear it's like, I don't know, a lot of snow, right?
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
not really.
I mean, a couple hundred miles down south, it was just super soggy.
Yeah.
But no. Okay, so we're here to talk about episode 5 of Skeleton Crew. Hereth, since you wrote the outline literally
Damn, you just
seconds ago.
Just outing me on the podcast.
Yeah,
It's not like it's not like we just had a Christmas holiday and and like everything and all this craziness.
Star Wars comes first. Didn't you know that? Come on.
I'm sorry, I thought family came first, but I guess I was wrong. Anyways, I guess we can't introduce Nick because Luke just dragged him in immediately as soon as the show started.
Well, you know.
Anyway.
I don't believe in order. I believe in chaos. Anyway.
So, holidays, Christmas, Star Wars-y, kind of all go together, don't we say? So, again, since Luke decided to out me on the podcast saying I wrote the outline 15 seconds ago, he could have just kept that in his back pocket, but no, Luke had to throw that out there in the middle of the middle of the room and goes, survive.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask a question from the Skeleton Crew cast. If you had to pick someone like you're stuck at a Christmas party or you're just stuck with like family and they're all there, who from Skeleton Crew would you want to be stuck with?
Neil.
KB.
No, Neil. Neil is such a good boy. You know,
I kind of have to agree with
good little elephant. I love it.
Would be the obvious pick.
KB would be the right pick because
No.
as someone who is quite happy to sit in silence at a party, I feel like I could sit there with KB in silence and it not be awkward. It would be perfect.
Oh, Kenny made a good pick.
Oh,
Smee would be.
Kenny, is that just because you want to punch your way out of the party?
oh, that could be. Nah, mine's Neil. Neil is just because I am most like Neil. Neil. I'm most like Neil, to be honest.
You too pass out at the sight of danger?
No, kind of nerdy and kind of just whimsical and cute and yeah.
How about you, Hereth? You didn't give an answer.
I said KB. I agree with you on
KB?
that one. Because
Wow.
KB would be like the type. It's like everyone's like on their BS, and KB is just like sitting there in the corner, just vibing, and you're just like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah.
So here's the other thing. We talked about it the last time I was on. Like our theories. Have our theories for Atten kind of changed?
Not really.
Not for me. I'm still. Oh, Alanis bringing the heat.
Okay, all right. You got fingers. Hey, you got a mic and a camera over here. You want to say exactly who I am, then?
Luke's whim.
What? Okay, so I'll take that.
Bam!
At least it's not.
I mean, if that's
gets destroyed,
that's the case, Alanis, make sure you keep sharp implements away from him because there's no guarantees holding it the right way.
Okay, no. Like okay. What did everyone? Okay, so like, I've been vibing with this show.
Lettuce is just going for your throat.
Jedi. When she does.
Oh.
Humble this man. Anyway, I've really been fighting Skeleton Crew. It's been really, 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 really nice. Not having expectations for anything, you know. But I think I'm still trying to figure out who Jod is, who he possibly could be. It doesn't necessarily, he doesn't need to necessarily be anyone, but it's always fun to theorize.
Also, is it me or did Luke's audio just drop like crazy?
Yeah, okay. I was wondering if it was just me. You're sounding like you're talking through a pipe.
Hold on.
You sound
that's
like you were
better.
from like a 1930s radio.
Mickey Mantle. Ha. Do I sound better now?
You sound normal.
Better.
It was like there was like a couple minutes where it was like every other word was getting dropped, and you sounded like you were way back here. It's bad.
Oh, probably because I was way back there. But anyway, no. Now I just lost my.
You were talking about who you think Jod might be.
Oh, I mean, Alanis and I sat together on the couch watching it the second time. Well, the first time Alanis and I were watching it, she like sat up and was like, "Oh my god, he could be Qui-Gon's child," and I was like, "What? When? When?"
That would be a choice.
It would be a choice,
would
but
be a
also
choice.
mathematically it would kind of add up.
It would, but I don't know. I said, and this is a throwaway. I think it's Obi-Wan's brother. You want to know why? Because Obi-Wan mentions about his brother in the Kenobi show.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know whether if he was. It could have been a situation where the Jedi took Obi-Wan and they didn't take his older brother because he was too old to train.
I thought he was a younger brother. No.
Yeah, the younger brother. I think. Yeah, well, younger brother would make a lot of sense.
I thought it was implied. I agree with Nick. I thought it was implied in Kenobi that he was younger than Ben.
I mean that theory does have some precedence to it. We have seen in books and other things instances where the Jedi take one sibling and not another. You could look at High Republic Phase 2. You could look at, even Light of the Jedi. You had I can't remember her name, the main antagonist who all of her friends out of the orphanage were taken and she was left behind. So that there is some plausibility to that.
I think it'd be sick.
I still think that, and I agree somewhat with Kenny that he, not necessarily an Order 66 survivor in the sense of he was on Coruscant or something like that, but he was part of the Jedi Order in some sense, and then was saved by pirates. And I still contend he was saved by Hondo, and no one will ever change that headcanon for me.
I think it would also go with Hondo would be it. Jod is one of the children from the Kyber Crystal episodes.
Oh,
And that's why he gets hung up with the pirates because of his experience with Hondo.
I concur with Nick, but I also, funny enough, like I was doing around like episode 1, I was doing some like mental math of like if we took Jude Law's age and took it back to what the prequel era would be, he would be in his like late teens, early 20s. So I'm like, he would have to be a Jedi Knight. Because
not necessarily. Well, yeah,
because
a lot of knights, a lot of Padawans
Brotherhood
got knighted because of the Clone Wars. Yeah.
Could it be Petro? You're talking about the younglings from the Gathering.
Yeah.
And Petro was the main human, I think, right? That was his name? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know. He seems more. I think he's a different ethnicity than Jude Law.
I mean, there definitely has to be a Jedi connection because there's no way that they put in your focus determines your reality and just have it be a nice little wink.
Or maybe we're thinking too far. Maybe it's an Inquisitor turned whatever.
Yeah, that's possible. I came out of this episode convinced that Jod is Captain Renaud. Because he specifically cut off that he specifically cut off that video before SM33 could clean it up.
Yeah, but that would mean he already knows where Atnaz is.
And maybe that's why he's so determined to get back there, because the only place he stored the coordinates was in his lair.
But the problem, the whole reason they're going is to get the coordinates. If he's already the guy, then he already knows.
But also, wouldn't Smee recognize him immediately?
Not if he wiped his memory or locked his memory out.
Well, he didn't.
And also, I mean, we saw him as Captain Silva when he wore a mask. Who's to say he wasn't wearing the same mask?
Because,
ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
The fact that I'm still covered by Agent Callus is absolutely insane to me.
It's a great.
100 and how more days, guys, before Atlantis get married?
I just assumed Atlantis was standing beside a cutout. She actually just literally superimposed Callus over you.
She had a picture of the cutout.
Do you not see his arm?
Brooke was the one that photoshopped it over me. So thanks, Brooke. Appreciate that. Anyway, enough about me.
Shut up, you dad.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, because then it ties into Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it would be a fun way to connect both shows.
I mean, it's already connected to Mando with the pirates, so hey, why not? I think that's
that would be an interesting connection.
It could be.
I mean this in the nicest way possible, Luke. That's more plausible than the Obi-Wan's brother theory.
You don't need to be on mute, Luke, for us to know what it is you're saying.
Could we just get Atlantis on the episode now?
First of all, I just got accused of being getting canceled for yelling at her, and I just think that's insane. You know,
Atlantis is on fire tonight.
Don't start what? Well, you know, X, Twitter, you know, it's all gone downhill from here on out. So if you started a whole hashtag, I don't know how much steam you'd get.
I also don't know if anyone would see it, because I think, Luke, are you still on?
Am I on?
Is anyone still on Twitter? I left
Twitter,
that thing.
Sorry, I just called it the thing that I would never call it. It's.
And you gave me shit for that for months on the podcast for calling it that.
I hate that it's X now. Anyway, the best theory I heard on Captain Rendon is that he's the same species as Neil, and they didn't want to reveal that just yet.
It's his dad.
Interesting.
Dun, dun,
dun. Because we already saw his dad.
Yeah, and his dad's old, and we know that Chip had been there for a while.
Wow. we knew that Neil was the hero all along. The hero that we didn't know that we needed. He's a good boy.
Maybe here's an idea. Maybe Captain Renaud's just the friends he made along the way.
Yeah, that's always a fun answer. Kind of like the Acolyte getting canceled. Anyway.
Oh, cold. That was low.
I do apologize. It was low hanging fruit. I apologize.
That was also
anyway
targeting 15-yard penalty.
Oh, 15-yard penalty up your ass. Anyway, I think it's interesting that we get with like the start of the episode, we get the mom and then obviously Wim's dad talking about the superior or whatever. I mean, what are your theories on that?
I was gonna say with Nick, I don't know if you and I were the same wired brain, but because of last week when it started with the parents, I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be the entire episode's gonna be with the parents.
I was kind of hoping for that,
God,
and especially with how
you did
clumsy Wim's dad. What?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. What did Atlantis do?
Did you tweet it? Did you actually tweet it?
Yes,
not.
Atlantis, you are my hero.
I'll quietly just give a salute because I'm no longer on
God.
Twitter.
Oh my god.
But no, when it panned to the shot and it was like over the shoulder, like in the clinical, and it showed like Wim's dad, I was like, oh my god, this entire episode's gonna be with the parents, because the way like it like was staying on it for like a while in the intro. So I was like, are we gonna actually just stick with this the entire?
I thought the
Wait.
same thing. I
And
really
then when
did.
it cut back, I was happy it cut back, but I was like, oh, that was a missed opportunity.
I would have loved like almost and I'm gonna date myself saying this, a Get Smart type episode if you watched the show or saw the movie with Steve Carell, where the parents are trying to do something very important, but they keep tripping over themselves because they're not very good at what it is they're trying to do. Which I think we saw with Wim's dad trying his best to hide whatever it was he plugged into his terminal. Huh?
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 Huh? You just should have done the classic drop it in your underwear.
I know.
What
You had the
purpose
chance right there.
It wouldn't have searched you. But I do love like Wim's dad calling out like Fern's mom, being like why are you like just kind of being content with the supervisor not doing anything? Do you, like, clearly what you're doing is not working, so why you just keep going at it?
Yeah. Well, especially if it turns out to be true, like you said, I think it was last week, Hereth, that the supervisor is like the Wizard of Oz and isn't actually who they make themselves out to be. Because why would they do anything if they're not, like, if it's just a droid behind the curtain? Yeah, that makes sense that they wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, because like I think everyone's hyping up this like, oh, it's Wim's mom, oh, it's this person, oh, it's the captain all along. But I like the theory that it's really just a droid, or like it's just really nobody. And because like I said, like obviously with this entire series, for the entire duration of this podcast, I've said the show is very Fallout coded with the way that the Aten planets are set up. So I always see it as like, what if we made the society more like a monarch? What if we made it more like suburbia America? Like obviously that's not obviously in Star Wars, but like you get the idea where like each at planet they're trying something different, and Aten was the only one that actually worked. And these are all different type of experiments. So I think the idea that the supervisor isn't really, maybe it was somebody at some point, but I like the idea that it just became a droid after the Old Republic.
Yeah.
And the fact that Rindod literally says, "Oh, I found the last Old Republic mint or whatever it's called." Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Is it that right? Like, I don't know. I think the backstory. Wait. And this wasn't the penultimate episode, right? We get 8 episodes,
three
right?
more episodes still. Yeah.
Oh, okay. What are we on? 6?
This was
6.
5, so we've got 3 more to go.
Oh, 3 more. Okay, cool. Good. God, like that just is so good to hear that I'm like semi excited every week. Well, and it's also like I also forget that it does come on Tuesday nights. That's just because of how busy and insane my life has been the last however long since moving to Jersey. It's been nonstop go for a while. So, but yeah, it is. I just find there's not much that I can complain about it. If I'm gonna be completely brutally honest, like there's not much I can really. The only thing I can really complain about is Neil's mom. Like I didn't feel like the camera did her very well. Like the voice was going and the mouth wasn't moving at the same time, or it was off by like 0.5 seconds. But like if I'm complaining about that, that's pretty
nitpicking.
Good. I think the show is doing a pretty good job.
I mean, like the show has been fun. Like it's not taking itself too seriously. It's not like we're not looking at like world-ending, possibilities here. It's just a fun show to vibe with week over week. and we needed that from Star Wars. I think like after the Accolade and really after everything recently, this has just been fun to enjoy.
And it's been nice to not have to deal with haters.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
Yeah.
I thought by now we would have at least some type of stupid discourse.
Yeah, they aren't because they know it's not gravitated towards them.
Yeah. That was their one complaint. It was like, this is not for me. Okay.
Okay.
There are lots of other things to
pretty
watch.
Simple. Pretty simple. You don't have to watch it. So, and I feel like everybody's having a whole lot more fun watching it, and I feel like
Good yawn.
I apologize. Oh man, it's been, as you can tell, it's been a week.
It's a good tension builder for what you're going to say next. Now I'm invested.
Wow, you really just took the wind out of the sails. Yep, it's gone. It's not there anymore.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like week after week, this because like I said, I know I wasn't the strongest on the first 2 episodes like everyone else was. So like I feel like each week it's gotten better and better every single week to the point where I'm like I like obviously the thing of I can say that so far, like of the 5 episodes, this one was by far my favorite.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because like the way that like tension was built throughout, and like they've done a really good job with like Jod's character and like kind of moving into like the kids opening, because like I feel like it's almost like there was like 2 openings in the episode. There was like the parents like stinger opening of them putting everything together, and there was the kid stinger opening with Wim. And we talked about it a little bit with like who we think Jod is, the focus determined your reality thing, but like the attachments thing I thought was interesting because with the way that Lucasfilm's canon has portrayed attachments, kind of really backing up what Anakin says in Attack of the Clones, I feel like Jod's kind of statement contradicts that almost.
It almost feels fanatic in a sense.
Agreed.
That his sense of non-attachment means just basically isolate yourself from everybody.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it goes back to, again, lessons we learned in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like when they talk about Anakin Skywalker, it's a cautionary tale of attachment and everything like that. So it doesn't, if he was part of the Order and he learned about Skywalker, which I feel like would be not knowledgeable. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people actually knew that Anakin was Vader.
It seems to grow every year.
Yeah, it seems to grow a lot. But I mean, it's like, it'd be crazy though.
I don't really take the Anakin angle. I took it more as like he was a young teenager, young adult who got traumatized during the Clone Wars and Order 66, and when the Jedi Order fell, he was just like, "Fuck this shit."
I'm sorry, but can he just be a Jedi and not a Order 66 survivor?
I mean, based on the timeline when this show happens, can anyone who is a Jedi not be an Order 66 survivor?
That's what I was about to say.
I will be happy
Ezra,
if we don't have to go through the
Ezra.
trauma. Fair. Okay. Fair.
But age, I'm talking about Jod's age.
But I mean, I would say Ezra's a fair bit younger than Jod.
Yeah, but like,
because he could just be a random force sensitive kid.
I mean, yeah, that's the other thing. Like, he could just sorry, Hereth, you could just be a force sensitive person. Like, he doesn't have to be a Jedi at all. He could just be a force sensitive, which would explain why some of his movements are shaky, because clearly he's seen it happen and he's trying to mimic it, but hasn't been trained.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it could be an interest. Like I said, this show has a lot of questions, and I feel myself wanting to come back every single week to watch Star Wars, and it's a shame that Acolyte didn't get the same chance. If I'm going to be completely honest.
Yep.
I mean, I still feel the same way about every single, even Boba Fett, every single Disney Plus show has gotten me to like, oh, I can't wait to see what's gonna happen next. Not just because I want to be in the know of what everybody's talking about and join in on the fun, but like I've genuinely enjoyed most of the shows, minus Boba Fett.
But even
I mean, honestly, even with Boba Fett, I was still kind of excited to see what was going on.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
first half. I mean, not to turn this into a Boba Fett discussion, but like the first half of Boba Fett was absolutely incredible.
It was brilliant.
I agree. Yeah, it was. It was incredible. And then they were like, "Hey, let's have him riding a Rancor."
Hey, that's
Or
fun.
hey,
really.
let's.
I mean, I was fine with the Rancor. I thought that was badass when he
I
rolled
think,
in on
I
that.
think the one part that upset everybody was just like Grogu, Mando showing
Yeah.
up.
Mando season 2.5.
Yeah. I think that was the toughest thing for that show. But
Yeah.
no, I love that the fact that all of this is happening all in the same time. It's honestly, it's like the TV show version of what the comics did for the blanks in between 4, 5, and 5 and 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what Outlaws is doing. You know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah.
kind of just like building on a continued story that we didn't know was continuing in a different media. And I think that's very, very interesting that Lucasfilm, there's not a lot of industries or companies that branch out into multiple genres of storytelling. I mean, obviously, whoa,
That is a hot take.
that's a very hot take. I mean, even with Boba Fett sitting right there, that's a steaming take. I will. Dang it! I got off topic again. Darn it.
You're talking about the Mandoverse in general, like how it's kind of like the books and comics of.
Oh,
Disney
okay.
Plus.
You don't see a lot of big entertainment conglomerates have so many hands in so many different types of storytelling in media. Like, name me one that does comics, books, video games, TV, and movies.
I mean, DC.
Marvel.
But, I mean, DC's starting again, so we'll see how that happens next year.
The hard part is like I'll add a caveat to that, successful, because you can
Yeah.
think of 100 different franchises that have tried it and then kind of fell on their face.
Marvel would be about the only one that I can think of. 'Cause, I mean, Marvel has had some fairly good live action shows, and
And DC as well.
I'm saying like within its own universe that has done multiple books, multiple.
The only other thing I could really think of besides
Would be Marvel.
Would be, well, Marvel's not all the same universe, really. Like the movies, the shows, yes. The video games, no. The comics, no. The books, no. The only thing I really can think of is like Halo, I guess, even though there's no movies.
Okay.
but again,
That's
successful because
Halo-
I've heard like
no.
mixed reactions on the show.
And then Assassin's Creed, I guess.
No. You could maybe say you could say Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and also I would also say now Cyberpunk.
Has Cyberpunk done
Cyberpunk
outside the
has
games?
They've done like an anime.
Oh, okay.
And
I
they've
mean,
done
War of
books
the
and comics.
Rohirrim for animation.
I need to see that still.
Same.
You haven't seen it?
No, it's a little hard to find time with a kid
That is
over
fair. Yeah, I
holidays.
keep forgetting you have a child and it is the holidays.
It is on my to-do list.
I saw it opening Friday night. That Friday night, me and Alanis went. It was
good.
pretty good.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. Sorry, we are getting off topic. I do apologize. Let's get back to Skeleton Crew. I'm sorry.
We're gonna go on a Lord of the Rings discussion for like the next 30 minutes if we don't get
No,
the ship in the right direction.
I don't. I do, but I don't. But you guys haven't seen it yet, so I'm not gonna say anything more. Anyway, no, yeah, I like. It's so, like, again, I come back watching it every week, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so interesting.
Yeah.
and I think it's a like a breath of fresh air. Everybody thought that this show was going to be a dud, but in my opinion, I think it's one of the most successful.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's not. It doesn't like you said, Nick. Like it doesn't take itself too seriously. Chris, stop.
Hi, Chris.
Get off
Happy
topic.
holidays.
You do that. Anyway.
Yo, yeah, it's fun. I mean, it has since the first episode, and like one thing I'll say is I'm so glad that John Watts made the decision to switch this from a movie proposal to a series proposal, because I think that giving this the space to breathe that it's had over the series length has created such a better story. But yeah, it's a fun romp. Like the Goonies vibes, like the 80s kind of kids vibes. I really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel like this is gonna fit in with the Mando verse? Like what do you think these kids' roles are going to be?
I don't think the kids are gonna if the goal is to roll this in with like a Mando wrap up type movie, I think the only one coming across is Jod. I can't see the kids factoring into it other than, maybe a cutaway scene if they're protecting their planet.
Well, or they're with Grogu.
Maybe.
Or maybe the kids leave at and then they show up and like KB's with the New Republic now and she's older, because they could always do a time jump at some point, like a 5-year time jump.
Yeah.
I could see them becoming part of the new resistance, the resistance.
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, depending on what the supervisor is, we have that whole storyline. Like who's to say that it's not just gonna be?
Could it be Imperial Remnant? Did he freeze? He froze.
He froze.
He
Guess we'll
froze.
never know.
Well done.
Anyway,
That is like the podcast equivalent of the money is in the.
yeah. But no, yeah, it's I like it makes me think like what's the play here? How is this planet going to be an epicenter of or be brought into canon like other planets have been?
I could see this being, because I've always thought the Old Republic is going to be like the High Republic in terms of like initiative with like books, comics, games, TV shows. I could see like obviously, because I've stand on like the idea that like the Old Republic, when they do it, should take ideas from Legends, but it should really try to stand on its own and try to do its own thing while just taking bits and pieces from it. So I would love that if we like the YA series is on Adadan, like your Into the Dark, like kind of, or even your middle grade books,
its own
like
separated story within the bigger.
Yeah, and then within the Mandoverse era, I agree with Nick 100%. Like I think this show, while I would love a season 2, I think it would serve best as a one and done. Like the kids' storyline is mostly wrapped up. Maybe we get a couple kids that move away from Adadan, like a KB or a Whim or a Neil, or like you pick a couple of them, but the rest kind of move on and kind of retire, and we can bring them back later when they're older, like in like future shows, future books, future comics. Like you could always revive that. But I agree, Jod is the only character I could see moving across from Skeleton Crew to Mando to the Mando and Grogu movie, and obviously not Mando and Grogu, but it'd be the Dave Filoni movie. I could see him, because Jod is such an interesting character because he connects you so well into the underworld besides Boba Fett. But yes, Boba Fett has you with the Hutts. Jod has you with the rest of the galaxy, with the pirates
and some Hutts.
Yeah,
as we saw.
We did
it
see.
Devour that guy, and the guy said, "Oh no, not again."
Not again. Which makes me ask, what happens to Hutt food when they digest? Is it like a snake where they just barf it back out if it's too big?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, also, Luke brings up a good, or not Luke, sorry, Chris brings up a good point. Like, we don't know specifically when this show is taking place. We know that it is sometime around the Mando era.
I'm
But,
guessing
like,
I thought it was
Still
between
EBY.
Mando season 3 and Mandalorian and Grogu.
No one's come out definitively and said it. I mean, for
It's-
all we know, that pirate that we know was in Mando season 3, this is his life before Mando season 3. Maybe he's with this pirate gang before he hooks up with Gorian Shard. We don't know.
The only confirmation we have is we know it's after Book of Boba Fett. After that, it's like anyone's literal guess. You could
Yeah.
like put it literally anywhere until confirmed otherwise.
I mean, the one thing I could see you could tie at Atten into the larger story is that if Thrawn knows that it's an Old Republic mint and he's using it to fund his war effort, and the planet comes under
Ooh,
invasion from him
that's
and the
a
Night
good
Sisters.
idea.
So
That's
th-
interesting.
Oh, I could see that being like kind of like the cold open to the Filoni movie.
yeah, and
Even
that's how you bring Jod into the story.
Can we talk about the Munes? They were cool looking.
They were.
They were really well done. We got a Scipio mention, so that was kind of cool. R.I.P. douchebag Clovis, who was from
Yes.
Scipio. Fuck that guy. He's the worst.
He's horrible.
All my homies hate.
Speaking of Clone Wars references, you also got a Banking Clan reference.
Yep.
Yeah, which also meant Munilist. And where is Higo de Mass family members? Are they still finance bros? Are they still throwing them credits around like it's their job? Like they're just spending the New Republic's credits and Empire's credits like it's nothing?
They've
I really want to
moved
know what
into this-
happened to the infrastructure. I want to know what happened to the infrastructure after the Republic fell. Like, where was the banking clan like, yo, Palpatine, you still owe us credits? And like Palpatine was like, nah, you know what? You're gonna forgive the loan, and you're gonna give me interest now.
I mean, that would make sense. I mean, we saw that in the Bad Batch when Tarkin was like, "No, your contracts were with the Republic. We're not the Republic, so we don't have to be bound by these things anymore."
You know, it's like it starts to make you wonder, like, man, if I was an Imperial citizen, I would have been like, yo, where are we getting all this money from?
Man,
Shit can't be cheap. Wait, actually, it is cheap because we don't have any money because we still see, that's the answer. That's the answer. Everybody's like, oh, why isn't there high risk security? Why is Leia and Obi-Wan Kenobi able to sneak in and out of the Tower Inquisitorius?
Mhm.
It's because the banking clan has interest in the Empire, and they're taking all their money, so they can't afford the proper shit.
Palpatine is just Palpatine. Like I just imagine like Vader like is coming into his office and kneels down. And Palpatine's like, ah shit, the banking clan is filing us for tax evasion again. Make up some bullshit.
No. What is thy bidding, my master? Why the fuck are we still owing them money?
I mean, I think probably the more likely situation was that you had a planet of deep fried munes. If they tried to do anything with Palpatine.
Yeah. I don't know, but like, it was very cool to get a lot of different references, like the attachments. And then there was a thing that Qui-Gon does that he copies Qui-Gon.
Yeah, the focus on your reality sentence.
Yes. So that was interesting. I felt like there was a lot of good scenes in this episode. I love the creature. That was sick.
What is that? Have we gotten any confirmation as to what that is?
I don't know, but it's definitely a character.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like an actual. It's definitely a character. But like we were watching it the second time for the podcast tonight, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like obviously most of it's CGI, but when you see the hand go down and it's there for like a second, I feel like that is a prosthetic for the shot.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly, yeah.
I could see it being
see that.
a blend of the volume, but also like the arm was actually real.
Yeah, so it gives the kids to like play off of. You know?
Yeah, I could see that.
But
I could.
I will say this, that I don't feel like they've used the volume at all.
I know that they said that there were instances that they did, but I don't think it was very extensive.
As noticeable.
Yeah. Yeah,
also
it's...
I also think it's cinematographer dependent, because I think some cinematographers know how to place it well where you can't see it. Other cinematographers, you can you'll see a shot and you go, oh, that's on the volume.
Yeah.
Like, I think the best uses so far are within The Mandalorian, like the first couple seasons,
Yeah.
and The Batman. I think those are some of the best uses of the volume.
Oh,
Other
yeah.
cinematographers will look and go, oh, like, I love Kenobi, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of instances in Kenobi you're like, obviously because of the pandemic, you're just like, that's on the volume.
Yeah, well, it has its flaws just like
Yeah.
everything else. Can't
But
be perfect, even though it is.
yeah. I mean, but getting more and deeper into the episode, like, I do love the bits, like, obviously we're talking about them on the planet. Like, I love the whole, like, oh, we're gonna make them like these kids the wise masters, like the bits like that.
Yes!
And, like, God constantly like bribing
Yes!
the
It was
climate,
very much Star Wars.
Yes.
Let's make these children into elders and have them not know basic.
That was brilliant.
That was hilarious because it's like, obviously we've seen emissaries come in with their own translators, so that's very world-like, like real world-like, and it's just so funny. It was just really, really well played off by all individuals involved.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I love when they get into the room, and because like so far, like John Watts, like as a director, like when it comes to like writing teenagers, like is like I think it's just in his bag. Because like I love the whole like Jod is very much focused on like getting to the lair, just getting the information and getting out, and the kids are very much arguing about the room, what they're gonna do next. Jod's like, you guys need to lock in.
Yeah, no,
Herding cats.
It's very much like the vibe of Tony and Peter in
Oh, yeah.
the Spider-Man movies, Sony Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, and then Neil and Wim are very much Peter and Ned.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think John Watts has done a phenomenal job directing some of these episodes and also writing most of the show. Correct?
Yes.
Isn't this the Bryce Dallas Howard episode? Or is
No,
that last week?
that's next episode.
Oh, it's next episode.
Yeah, last week was the Daniels.
Yeah, with the Everything Everywhere All at Once director
Yeah.
episode. Yeah.
This week, I think this was a guy. I read somewhere this was a guy who had worked with Jude Law on a different movie previously, and he came recommended by Jude Law. So,
Oh, interesting.
yeah,
I love that, bringing in people that have never worked on Star Wars before,
yeah,
which I think needs to happen. You bring in
does.
people that don't watch Star Wars and you give them a chance to tell a story, and you might be surprised if you take off your fucking blinders and you just take off your lore hat and you just enjoy it for what it is.
But
Not
I also
mentioning any names.
but I also love how when they eventually did split the group, like I love how they played on the expectations of like where you thought the danger was gonna be. Because I was like, oh, it's gonna be with like John, Neil, and KB, because those are the most efficient members in the group, not with Smee, Wim, and Fern. So I love how they flipped it on its head, and Fern and Wim are the ones that are getting into shit first, and John and Neil are just looking at like architecture.
Yeah.
Obviously, they eventually get dragged into stuff, but it's funny how they flip the dynamic, because you're like, oh, they completely flipped like where you thought the danger was gonna be.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I love KB with like the wrench of like.
That was great.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, you just heard them laughing. Ha 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 ha. It's like, dumb shits. You guys are morons.
Oh,
Idiots.
yeah.
Never
Also,
mess with the geeks.
Speaking of KB, I know we like Emma last week was talking, because I brought up the theory that like they keep leaving hints of like KB having medical issues.
Yeah.
And like I know Emma was like, I'm waiting for the smoking gun moment of like her to like collapse, or like her to start coughing, or like something to kind of. What I think this episode was kind of the tip off to it because remember when Jod was like, "You go in the spa," and like KB was like, "I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
So it's like, I think we're getting closer to that.
Well, I mean,
Eventual
she
moment.
has a metallic electrical thing over her head. Yeah, she's got that. So of course she's not going to go in the spa. If it gets
Yeah.
wet, she might die.
And you saw it even too when the steam came up, how hesitant she was to even walk into the steam.
Well, I mean, look at Lobot.
Yeah.
I know
There ain't no water next to him.
I forget who brought it up. I think it may be Emma again, but didn't someone theorize that like KB potentially could have been force sensitive, and the reason why she has the visor is because like
Yeah,
they
that
kinda
was-
hide it and like submiss it because of Adatans where they're at, and they don't want them to get discovered.
Yeah. I wonder too if that. I mean, we talked about it last week about how many of the parents were analysts for whatever the great work was on Aten. Is KB's attachment not medical in nature, but analysis based in nature? Like a test to get because keep in mind, if this planet's been missing since the Old Republic, whatever that is, they would have never had the technology that we saw Lobot have. So is this their attempt to, in their own way, get to that point without knowing that someone's already gotten there? Oh, Luke
is watching.
No,
I
but
just
like
want,
that's a very interesting point. Because like, yeah, technology wise, they wouldn't be where the rest of the galaxy's at. So it'd be interesting of them like think of the same idea as Lobot, but way before.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I brought that up because I remember like because you mentioned the 2 teams team part and the KB with the wrench. I was like, oh yeah, I gotta bring that back because like I remember them, it kind of hinting at it again.
Yeah.
But like I love the overall like the Fern stuff. Obviously, we mentioned the creature with like that interaction, and then I love how Fern and Wim immediately, without like skipping a beat, like threw Jot under the bus for like, yeah, we don't trust him, and I love how like they didn't hide that fact, like, and then like the creature was like, yeah, I wouldn't trust him either.
I wouldn't trust him.
So I love how they mentioned that, and then I also love how Neil was the one to figure out how to get in by just looking at the food.
Yeah.
He's like that one doesn't look as old as the other one.
And then nearly killed himself in the process. Or presumably killing himself, because the kids went down that same chute at the end of the episode, so we don't know what's down there.
Is that we're... How do we not know that the guy's not alive and he's just the supervisor?
Who?
Captain, whatever his...
Oh,
Yeah.
Captain Renaud?
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a pretty plausible theory that it could be
Pirate,
Captain
he doesn't
Renaud.
want to give away all of his riches.
No.
He's gonna withhold that shit so quickly.
I mean, I there's part of me that still wonders, because I mean, I feel like we have gotten a different name for Jod every episode.
Agreed.
Because
I
we've
mean-
had Captain Silvo, Jodna Nawood, we had Dash Selton today. What was Crimson Jack from
Yep.
Kim? The only episode we didn't get it. Every time we meet someone who knows Jod, they don't know him as Jod.
Yes. Which makes me feel like he is a Jedi because he's changing his name.
Agreed.
He's trying to hide. Yeah.
He's trying to hide his identity through multiple names.
Or
And
at least he was a Jedi, because that character shift for him in the lair.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Just
Like when
wow.
he grabs the saber.
Well, no,
the
I mean,
thing
like,
was
just like when
fucking sick as
when
shit,
he
though.
he got the information that he needed to know where Aten was, and all you see is that shot of his back, and the kids are trying to remind him of the deal that they made, and when he turns around, like his entire
Demeanor.
body language, his entire demeanor just flipped on a
Yeah.
dime.
Yeah.
And then
Crazy.
and in the moment like when Fern took the pipe at him and swung, and he just kind of held it and just threw it to the ground.
Yeah.
I don't know. My man's is doing things. That's for sure.
I knew as soon as Wim saw the saber, like when he was walking, I was like, Wim's 100%.
Oh, yeah.
1,000% grabbing that.
Okay, do we know? Do we want to take a guess on what era that's from?
I would put money on that being High Republic. The gold detailing in that saber handle, it's definitely not prequels.
I was thinking Old Republic.
I was gonna say Old Republic because it fits the dynamic of this planet has been lost for a millennia.
Well, so I mean, this like I still ask the question of when they refer to the Old Republic, are they referring to the Old Republic as we see it, or just the pre-Empire Republic?
I agree. I think it's the same as us.
Yeah,
I think that's been established because there is a canon Old Republic era.
Yep.
They just haven't written it yet. Or
I like the explanation
the sandbox of that era.
Nick, of like, oh, any of the Republic, they'll just call it the Old Republic because it is technically the Old Republic. But the more that Luke says that, it makes me think of the Rebels episode when they're talking about how Vizsla taking the Darksaber.
Saber, yeah.
Yeah, and he keeps saying Old Republic, yeah. They even said it in the
and he says
era.
it, and Vizsla says it to Obi-Wan in season 2 of the Clone Wars. He says, "My ancestors stole this from your Jedi temple during the time of the Old Republic."
Yeah, that's true.
Like that's, I'm thinking Old Republic in the Star Wars universe means like the same Old Republic,
which makes sense. About. And I mean, it makes sense that the star maps that Kim had were paper based as opposed to digital. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like looking at that saber handle from the brief shots of it that we had, and just comparing it to the sabers that we've seen drawn out in the High Republic. The styling of it is fairly similar.
Well, it looks more like a Cal Kestis, like Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor piece. Like the blade, like not the blade itself, but like the hand, like the hilt is something that you can. It looks like you can customize. Like it's like customized from Jedi Fallen Order.
Also, Survivor. We also don't know if the captain was playing around with it, just adding his own shit to it.
That's true.
Because to me, like, I would really like, obviously this is not going to be canon, but I would really like the idea of like the High Republic being like gold is like kind of like the main thing with the sabers.
Yeah.
But the Old Republic silver.
That would be cool. That would make sense. I mean, that, like you look at the Jedi robes in the High Republic, and it's gold colored. Well, you know, when they're wearing their temple robes, so that would make sense. I could see that.
By the way, High Republic's killing it right now.
Hell yes, it is.
It's really fun. It's really, really fun.
I'm guessing neither of you have listened to Tempest Breaker.
No, I haven't.
Still not have listened to Eye of Darkness.
You can spoil that for me because I'm probably not going to read that one.
What, Tempest Breaker? Oh, you should.
Yeah, no.
You're not a fan of the audio dramas?
No, I am. I just don't have the time.
That's fair.
Yeah. But I do like how when because let's get into like the heel turn of this because we're already kind of dancing around it. Like I do like the Jod heel turn because I thought his arc was going to go the opposite direction. Like I thought the whole show was going to be him being kind of rough in the exterior, and then as the series progresses, and when we get to the end more, he gets softened to the kids, and like we get like a moment of him like kind of like turning around. So like when he does do the inevitable turn of like Fern, Captain's order, I challenge you to like trial by combat, essentially.
That shit was crazy. I was like, yo, what are we doing? Why are we trying to steal from children? The heck? And the fact that she says it, and he's just like, yield. Just yield. Like, say it. And she's, credit to her, at least she fought back. Credit to her for fighting back, but also I thought when Wim was standing up, I was fully expecting him to double down on the trope, and I thought he actually was gonna try to fight and then just get his ass kicked. Well, I think it was hilarious and very, very funny that yeah, he's read all these stories and all of these things, but how much it just shows how much little detail that those stories have.
Yep.
Because he didn't know how to hold the lightsaber. He didn't know which end it came out of.
Oh.
And that was the funniest part. It's like,
But I
I'm like
also love-
looking at it, I'm like, wait, that's upside yep, that's upside down. Sorry, pal.
But I love how Giacchino sound like played on the score of like making it super dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you think that's where it's going, and then it just the sudden just drop with like the music cutting out as soon as the activation happens.
Yeah, it was. I loved that. That was such
I thought that was great because that was like it was such a moment for Wim because here was this kid, all he wanted was an adventure, and yet on this adventure so far he's kind of been like he's been scared. He's let
stressed
Fern
out.
or everyone else take the lead, and like, here was his moment that okay, I'm building up my courage, I'm gonna do it. And for it to go so horribly wrong, and then for him to immediately like just whittle away back to basically hiding behind Neil and KB.
bad.
He just rolled in that one, guys.
Our boy will eventually roll on that 20 and get his redemption, I think.
I think so. I think so.
But
I think next episode, because apparently I think next episode I've heard is going to be the shortest of the season.
If I remember correctly, if the run times that I saw, it's only like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this episode's going to be just
That's a
like
travesty.
them running away from Jod for like the
They
entire
should
episode.
make it a two-parter and then make it the finale. Give us 2 episodes instead of just one, because you got to make it worth it. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Again, well, obviously, like as Chase always says, like we'll see how it's done because like it's
Yeah.
really what you do within the episode. I honestly just expect next episode to be like them running away from Jod
Yeah.
and him just like a horror movie chasing him down with a lightsaber.
Like almost
That's
like episode
creepy.
6 of Acolyte with the stranger tracking down
Yep.
the Jedi.
Maybe
That
not
would be
that
good.
dark.
Not that
no.
dark, but that
Well,
kind of
no.
vibe.
Well, no, they already said. Remember when they announced the show in Celebration 22? They said it gets dark. Clone Wars levels of dark was their description
Wow.
of the show. So I could see them
2022. That was 2 years ago.
Almost 3.
almost
Closer
very-
to 3.
That's crazy.
But like I said, I could see that happening because they already kind of did it with. They kind of hinted at it with Smee and just kind of put their foot off the gas at the last second. I could see
Yeah.
them kind of going all the way next episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
I feel like we kind of hit everything. Again, is there anything from the episode that we haven't hit so far that you guys?
no.
No,
No.
was
I
not-
thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I can't wait till next week.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I want to know where that trap they fell under goes to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's where the real layer is.
Yeah.
It's the layer on top.
No,
of
that's
the
just
layer.
where Captain Ando has been the entire time. He wasn't the skeleton. He lied. He had a crash land and then he got lost in his own lair.
That how? Oh my god! Why did I forget the character's name? I was about to say Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, Sith Hunter.
Yes.
Oh, Ochi.
Yeah, very
Ochi
Ochi of him.
soon. Yeah, he just Ochi'd him. But anyway, Nick, where can the good people follow you on the social medias?
The good people can find me on Threads and Blue Sky and TikTok at NDWiseGuy. And I will be here, I think, with you guys the rest of the way through this season of Skeleton Crew every Thursday, which I'm excited for.
There we go. And Hereth?
Well, you can find me at Hereth Productions on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. And of course, you could find me here at the Podlands Podcast. And also, fuck Twitter.
Also, you can follow Chase or Forward Into the Black on all social medias. And you can find me at the Jedi Master Eggs and everywhere on the Pod ones. But until next week, may the Force be with you. Always.
Always.
Oh shit! I'm like Wham.